From that day 50 years ago, the Voting Rights Act, which the Department of Justice regards as the most important and effective act of civil rights legislation in the last 50 years. Somebody who felt the violence of that era and recalls that day, the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She wasn't there. She didn't march in Selma. Her father did, and of course her famous uncle later, but her home was bombed 2 years earlier, so she certainly knows well the events of that era, and she joins me now. It's a pleasure to have Reverend Alveda King, niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Director of African American Outreach for Priests for Life and a Fox News contributor. Reverend, thank you so much for being with us. It was interesting. It was a very eloquent speech, beautifully written. What caught my attention at one point, and there were a great many fine points to be made, but the President said, "I reject the notion that nothing has changed in 50 years. Prejudice and discrimination back then," he said, "were endemic. They are not now. They are more the exception than the rule." Would you agree?
I listened very intently to the President and to Congressman Lewis. I could almost see my father there on that Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday with Congressman Lewis and so many others, Hosea Williams, James Orange, and my heart is deeply touched. I also heard what the President did not say. Of course, many things have changed, and we can admit that, and we're glad that some things have changed. I'm so delighted that we can all vote. This is America, and I urge everyone to get out and vote. However, what the President did not say, there is a whole group of people, over 55 million, who have been denied the right to vote because they've been denied the right to live, the little babies in the womb legally. What has changed in the last 50 years? 55 million babies have legally lost their lives by abortion and denied the right to vote. Yeah. And yet the largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, is getting $2 million from our tax dollars every day. Yeah. That's one thing that has changed. However, I believe that it's very important for the young people to know, and I'm not going to play the race card, I'm going to play the In God We Trust card. I'm going to play the One Nation Under God card and say, young people, you have a right to life. You have a right to liberty. You have a right to the pursuit of happiness. The doors of opportunities are open. We must vote to ensure that every American, born or unborn, can come through those doors. So some things have changed, some things have not.
You know, it has been a long 5 decades since the events back then. You recall your father coming home from Selma 50 years ago today. How did he describe what happened that awful day?
He said, you know, he talked about it. He said, I'm okay, I'm okay. He had been hit and knocked down, but Daddy was very prayerful. He said, they beat Hosea so bad. They beat John Lewis so bad. And we said, but Daddy, what about you? He says, I'm okay, I'm okay. He had been beat, but he was prayerful. They were ready to go back. He met Uncle ML and Aunt Coretta on the bridge when they joined the effort. They marched together, and they remained very prayerful. I went to jail during those years as well. Our home was bombed during those years. I went to school with the young lady, Miss McNair, who lost her life at the 16th Street Church. So it was a tumultuous time. And that's why I say it's so important, young people, vote, live, pursue happiness, vote, and live a better life. You can do that. And many of us gave everything we have so that you today can experience this. You know, my Uncle ML said, Martin Luther King said, we must learn to live together as brothers, and I add as sisters, or perish as fools. Daddy, A.D. King said, some people care more about making a living than making a life. So I want to encourage everyone to move ahead. Yes, vote. Yes, move ahead. Yes, there is hope in America.
Yeah. We only have a few seconds left, but the president did bring up Ferguson. But again, he said, and I'll quote him here, "What happened in Ferguson may not be unique, but it's no longer endemic. And before the civil rights movement, it most surely does." Bringing this back full circle, was the president right about that?
Ferguson is symptomatic across America. We need more love, more equality. Let's make the world better. It is systemic, but there is hope. And even Ferguson, it's not over yet. There's hope for America.
Reverend Alveda King, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.